Welcome to the Funeral Funds Life Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Vandervate from Funeral Funds of America, and you can find us at funeralfunds.com. That's funeral, Funds.com. Whether you're interested in term life, whole life, mortgage protection, annuities, disability, business continuation, or final expense life insurance, we have you covered. Our team of experienced professionals will guide you through the complexities of insurance products to help you make an informed decision. In this podcast, I'm going to be discussing the importance of regularly reviewing your life insurance policy. So, if you've got a life insurance policy and you just kind of like set it and forget it, right? You bought it and then you just threw it in the file cabinet and never looked or worried about it again. It's probably a good idea to review that occasionally. And that's what this podcast is all about. We're going to talk about a number of topics. The first reason you would want to regularly review your life insurance policy is just to ensure you have adequate coverage. Because you know what happens in life? Life changes. and our situations and circumstances change, and sometimes we bring on more debt. Maybe we bought a nicer house. Sometimes we have less debt. Maybe we downsized. Sometimes maybe there's some financial obligations that have changed. Maybe you had children. Maybe if you had children, you had another one. Maybe maybe you're in a marriage, or you just got married, or you're in a marriage and you say, oh, I need more insurance. you know Maybe you just got divorced, and part of your divorce settlement is that you have to get life insurance on yourself to protect your now ex-spouse. So things change all the time. Imagine, you wouldn't typically just like have the same auto insurance policy that you had 20 years ago, because you've changed vehicles and probably moved, and a whole bunch of other things going on in your life. Same thing with life insurance. Life is just going to change. Outstanding debts, mortgage, yeah, education expenses, maybe business commitments, things like that. So you always want to make sure that you have adequate coverage, and that doesn't always mean adding coverage. Sometimes it can mean subtracting. But what we often see is that as life goes on, we often need to increase our life insurance coverage just a little bit. And that just allows us to adjust for changing circumstances. Our next topic, like, you know, career changes. Maybe you've had some career advancement or a change in income, or you started a business, or you started a side business, a side hustle. It's just really important to ensure that your current insurance is actually reflecting your updated financial situation. Also, health changes. If you have changes in health, that may affect your insurability and require adjustments in your coverage. So it depends what type of policy you have on both of those. Most younger folks are going to look at term life insurance because they can get the most amount of insurance for the least amount of money. The disadvantage of that, term policies last for a specific period of time, like 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years, depending on your age. As we get older and transition into typically what most people would term a burial or final expense type policy, then we transition to a different class of products. Typically, that's going to be a whole life product, because we want to make sure that no matter when we pass away, there will be money there for our loved ones. So, times change both in your life, but also consider, insurance products change a little bit too. So maybe let's talk about our next topic here. Maybe there's new riders, policy riders, or add-ons that might benefit you. Insurance companies, as part of their packages, assess what is popular out in the marketplace, what people are looking for. They're always looking for better ways to protect their existing and current clients. So sometimes they have additional features that they can add on. So a policy rider just means it's something that's attached to the policy. In most cases, it can cost a little extra money. In some cases, some of these policy riders are free and included. Some of these have critical illness that if you were diagnosed with significant cancer or some other critical illness, you can actually access some of your money from your life insurance policy in advance. You go, well, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to pull the money out of the life insurance? Well, because you got bills. Say you were diagnosed with cancer and you had $50,000 worth of medical bills. If you could access 30, 40, or $50,000 out of your life insurance policy, even though it lowers it a little bit. So let's say you had a $500,000 term life insurance and you could borrow or you could get the 50,000 out of that, and now your policy goes down to 450. Wouldn't you do that rather than come up with the money out of your hand? I mean, that's what insurance is for. Other riders like accidental death, maybe you switch careers and now you're in uh, a career or business that's a little more dangerous. So, we see this a lot of times helping long haul truckers. You know, boy, I tell you what, they put a lot of miles on the road and they see a lot of bad things happen on the road. And a lot of times those happen to truckers. So, uh, a, an accidental death, super affordable, cheap, and you can get a lot of coverage for a little bit of money just in case that day does come. Another reason to regularly review your life insurance policy is to evaluate premium costs. So just regularly reviewing your policy is going to make sure that your current premiums are competitive and cost effective, certainly for your situation. So do consider though, like if you've got a 20-year term policy and you're 7, 8 years into it, it's probably going to be difficult to get a better rate if nothing's changed. Now, if your health has changed, let's say 7, 8 years ago, you were 80 to 100 pounds heavier and you had some health issues and you're on a bunch of prescriptions. And let's just say you kind of had that come to Jesus moment and you said, man, I only got one body. I'm going to take care of it. And now you're in terrific shape. And because you've lost all the weight, you've gotten off all the medications and stuff like that. Holy cow. Let's go back and see if we can't get you better coverage. Better coverage can be more insurance, but it also can be lower rates. It's any number of things. We just want to make sure that also that if another company came out there with a really competitive product, that we can save you money or get you more insurance. It's your money. You may as well maximize it and get the most out of it. Another important reason to regularly review your life insurance policy is just to stay informed about the policy terms and conditions. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, that so many times we just get the insurance policy and we throw it in the file cabinet and we kind of forget some of the features, especially some of those great riders that can be included on there. Especially some of those riders that are what's called living benefit, meaning you don't have to die to get them. You can actually get them while you're still alive, perhaps if you were like diagnosed with a critical illness or something like that. Another thing, in addition to staying informed about policy terms and conditions, is keeping your beneficiaries updated. You've got on your policy, you've got beneficiary designations, and maybe that's changed. Maybe the primary beneficiary that you had when you took that policy out years ago is no longer the one that you want. And that could be for any number of reasons. Maybe they've gotten into financial troubles, or maybe they've gotten involved in drugs or something like that. And you just go, wow, back when I got this, they had pretty good judgment, but things have kind of deteriorated a little bit. And I would like to make sure that, God forbid, if I do pass away, this money's going to go to somebody who's going to be very ultra responsible to make sure the money does the right things and gets into the right hands and takes care of the right things. Another reason would be is, maybe you got married, you know, and obviously in most cases you would want your new spouse to be the primary beneficiary. So maybe the beneficiary that you had, the primary, that gets bumped down to a secondary or contingent beneficiary, and your new spouse goes up to that primary. Maybe there's a divorce, probably probably the only thing worse than a divorce is having your life insurance money go to your ex-wife accidentally because you didn't change the beneficiary. So that's something to keep in mind too. Also, children, they may be, depending what age, you may want to make some adjustments on there too. Like as the children, maybe they're under 18 and they get to age 18 and they're responsible. Now that they're 18 and adults, they could be the beneficiary. Now, they could be the beneficiary if they're younger, but the problem is a lot of times that's going to get held up until those funds will go into some sort of a holding account until they turn age 18. So be cautious about that. A Another and the last and final thing I'm going to talk about the importance of regularly reviewing your life insurance policy is just to avoid policy lapses or expirations. You know, time flies, and I tell you what, anymore, if I think something happened 3 years ago, I just double it. It happened 6 years ago. So it's always a great time to review your policy. The one thing you don't want to do is get a policy notice from your insurance company saying, hey, your insurance is going to expire in 30 days, right? So you want to get in front of that. So if you had a 20-year policy, you probably want to review that every 5 years or so, but certainly at age, 15 years out from that policy effective date, start looking around and say, hey, do I need more coverage? Do I need to change anything? Also, some of the policies out there, if it's a term life, they do have the option of converting a portion of those policies over to whole life. That's not all insurance companies. That's going to be insurance company insurance policy specific. But if you have one of those plans and you were diagnosed with some significant medical change, you may seriously want to go look at your policy and look at converting part of that over to whole life that's going to last forever. The benefit of doing that is there's not going to be any medical exam. They will accept and approve you based on your health when you filed and got approved for the original policy, not your current health. It's a pretty big deal if you're in that situation. So there you go. That's the importance of regularly reviewing your life insurance policy. My name is Randy Vandervaet, and I hope this podcast has been helpful to you. Funeral Funds of America can help you qualify for first aid coverage or benefits at funeralfunds.com. That's funeral, FUNDS.com. And our phone number is 888-862-9456. We will be blessed to help you with this in the future. Until that day comes, stay safe, take care, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.